Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson is a former NBA basketball player. He is still a professional athlete to this day. He is a 11-time NBA All-Star, 4-time NBA scoring champ, and a 1-time league MVP. I'm not sure if everyone here knows who Allen Iverson is, so I can't speak to you as if you know or know as much about this man as I do. So, Allen Iverson was born in Hampton, Virginia in 1975. And the main thing that people don't realize about Allen Iverson is that Allen Iverson was good for sports. Allen Iverson was good for sports for 3 reasons. First off, Allen Iverson changed sports in Virginia. Allen Iverson changed the style of the NBA, and Allen Iverson Allen Iverson changed the look of an NBA player. First off, Allen Iverson changed the style of the NBA. Many people don't realize this, but in the early 80s, late 90s, before Allen Iverson came onto the scene, a lot of basketball players were thought of to be jocks who looked good in front of the cameras. They wore suits. They did a lot of things for that aspect, but not too many of them were thought out to be had individual personalities. You had your guys like Magic Johnson, or you had Shaquille O'Neal, and you had Michael Jordan. Those were mainly your athletes that people thought of and knew of at that time. But then along came Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson came out of Georgetown, which is a medium-sized college, and Allen Iverson had a style all his own. Iverson was thought of to some as a thug. And I didn't really see Iverson as that. I thought Allen Iverson was more of a person who was an individual. He had his own sense of style that he brought to the NBA that a lot of people, like commissioners and a lot of fellow players, didn't quite agree with. But Iverson went along with what he did, and he changed the style of the NBA. So now you see guys like Dwayne Wade and LeBron James who may not be as radical in what they wear as Allen Iverson, but it's not the traditional business suit, every day you go to work type of atmosphere. Secondly, Allen Iverson changed the outlook of what an NBA player was. Allen Iverson was a man who was he wasn't well-spoken, but he had his own opinion on what he thought and what he wanted people to think about what he thought. One of the main things that people know about was his statement about practice. Allen Iverson in that speech stated the word practice, I believe it was 21.5 times, and it was a rant that he went on stating that how he was being fined and judged because he had missed not a game, but practice. We're talking about practice. This went on to be one of the more famous speeches in all of basketball. Allen Iverson was known for going out, and he was a fun-loving guy. He had also gotten into a little bit of trouble at times out in clubs. He's hanging out with the wrong guys. But Allen Iverson made people think that maybe an NBA star, even though we look up to them for their talent and we look up to them for what they can do on the court, maybe we shouldn't look at them as superstars and great people like that, because they're humans as well. And this leads into my part about how Allen Iverson changed Virginia sports. Allen Iverson went to high school in Hampton, Virginia, which is a small area in what is called the peninsula. It's a small small landmass that sticks out into the water. Iverson was a state football champion and a state basketball champion in high school, his junior year. And then Iverson got into some trouble where he got into a brawl. They call it a brawl, but it was actually an altercation between some black students and some white students in the state of Virginia at a bowling alley. It was claimed that Iverson hit a young lady in the face with a chair. He was later tried and found guilty and was convicted of 5 years in jail for his crimes. But the main thing that people got from this was it split the state. You had a lot of white people and upper echelon black people who wanted to say Iverson was guilty, and even though they couldn't prove it, just because they didn't want to ruffle any feathers. You had a lot of black people who supported Iverson for the endeavors and wanted him to be free. Iverson was later acquitted of all crimes by the governor of Virginia, and went on to have his great NBA career. The only other thing that I have to say is that Iverson, while he may not be an upstanding model citizen, he was still good for basketball, he was still good for sports, and he changed the outlook of what people thought of as a traditional athlete.